Welcome to this week's Supply Chain Update, brought to you by Phoenix International. Let's start with market conditions. On the Trans-Pacific eastbound trade, demand is easing as recent U.S.-China tariffs begin to impact booking activity. Rates are holding continued through April, with no peak season surcharge expected. On the Far East westbound lane, rates remain flat for a fifth week despite slight diversions from U.S.-bound cargo. Meanwhile, the transatlantic westbound market is stable overall. Northern Europe continues to cancel payes while the East Mediterranean moves forward with new surcharge plans. Now let's take a look at operational updates. Trans-Pacific eastbound origins across Asia are operating smoothly with no major congestion and steady equipment availability. Over in the Far East westbound lane, congestion continues at key European ports like Hamburg, Mersin, and Rotterdam, although equipment remains sufficient. For the transatlantic westbound trade, inland regions of Central and Southeastern Europe are seeing localized container shortages, with Mersin also reporting disruptions. Carrier haulage is advised in these areas. Turning to capacity management, about 20% of Trans-Pacific eastbound capacity has been withdrawn for April through blank sailings and service cuts. On the Far East westbound route, new blank sailings are being introduced mid to late April by major alliances, prompting early booking recommendations. For the transatlantic westbound lane, while blank sailings have eased overall, East Mediterranean services are still operating under capacity limits due to earlier schedule cuts. Moving on to the current status of U.S. tariff. As of April 18th, the U.S. has maintained a 10% baseline tariff on most imports, while suspending higher country-specific tariffs for 57 nations until July. China remains an exception, now facing cumulative tariffs of up to 145%. President Trump noted that further increases on Chinese imports are not planned at this time. Several categories of electronics, including smartphones, laptops, semiconductors, and flat panel displays, have been temporarily exempted from new tariff rounds. These exemptions apply to both the 10 baseline and 145% China-specific duties and are retroactive to April 5th. Less-than-truckload carriers in the U.S. are seeing mixed volume trends following the new tariffs. Regional providers near border crossings, especially along the U.S.-Mexico border, report increased traffic, while national carriers have seen less consistent impacts. To counter China's maritime influence, the U.S. Trade Representative has introduced phase Bs on Chinese-built vessels and incentivized U.S.-built ship investments. A 180-day grace period is now in effect, with per-vessel fees and tariff hikes on cranes set to begin later this year. California is now challenging the tariff regime in court. The state has filed a lawsuit claiming the administration's tariff actions exceed legal authority and harm California's economy, particularly its ports and agricultural sectors. The White House maintains that these measures are necessary to counter trade imbalances and support U.S. industries. And that concludes our update on the global supply chain. Thank you for joining us. We will continue to monitor these developments and keep you informed. You can follow us on LinkedIn and YouTube for more supply chain related updates.